just now. Letian Lu believes that Wu's grades have a lot of water content. This is very unfair to other students. But Mei Su disagrees. She has long known that Letian Lu is abusing his power by secretly favoring his nephew Mo Lu with resources. This is the biggest injustice to other students. When Tian was even more furious after learning the truth. Bastard. No wonder you wanted to bet against Mo Lu and me. So he's your nephew. But my student Wu has already passed the 11th assessment. It's hard to say for your nephew. At this moment, inside Mo Lu's realm, all major defense towers, with a total value of 10 million MP, all destroyed by the skeleton giant. The Goblin Core family dependents underfoot also suffered heavy casualties. Under helplessness, he chose to forfeit. No more fighting. I can only go this far. I have decided to withdraw from the competition. When Tian has gained enough face, the result of the bet is out. My student Wu passed 11 rounds of assessment, while Mo Lu stopped here. That wager of 5 points of divinity. You won't go back on your word, right? Letian Lu also dare not to renege in front of everyone. Teacher Tian, please keep these 5 points of divinity safe. I will take them all back one day. An hour has passed. The 13th wave of invasion has also ended. There are only 3 candidates left. Wu Shuangqin and Fei Huang. But who is the first? We need to watch a few more waves. Soon, the 14th wave of monster invasion came. Fei Huang's core family dependents suffered serious injuries. In the end, he had to reluctantly withdraw from the competition, achieving a 3rd place ranking. As the 16th wave arrived, Shuangqin's core family dependents, the Storm Finch, were collectively exhausted. The Thunder Tower was severely damaged, and 6 Treant giants also perished. Knowing that she couldn't withstand the next wave of invasion, she voluntarily withdrew from the competition. In this way, Wu is now ranked first in the whole level. Director Mei Su was both surprised and delighted. This Wu has given her too many surprises. Wu threw himself wholeheartedly into the assessment. At this moment, he did not know the result. He had been resisting invading monsters, and had reached the 20th wave. In front of the enormous number of bursting locusts, a legion of 5,000 skeleton knights of the otherworldly life suffered a huge impact. The necromancer still wants to aggregate shattered bones. Summon the skeleton giant for counterattack. But just from the moment he lifts his palm, was targeted by the iron-cutting sword wind, who is also a hero. A move of iron cut directly tore his body apart, sending the necromancer to the western heaven. The 20th wave of invasion has ended. The 21st wave of invasion is about to begin. The difficulty will increase significantly. Please prepare yourselves mentally, students. As the alert sound rang out, a strong sense of death emanated from the teleport door. Even the temperature around dropped sharply by a few degrees. Soon, a magnificent throne of bones was moved out from the teleport door. Sitting on it was a skeleton lord with bones as white as jade, and the huge undulations on its chest were particularly eye-catching. This instantly rejuvenated the constantly yawning Wu. This is too much. It's too big. This is a Lord Entity Skeleton Lord that not even a demigod has ever possessed. Now it appears in the high school students' examination room. Those demigod teachers are shocked and screaming one after another. This kind of entity. Even they might not possess it. At the moment Wu saw the Skeleton Lord, he knew that his challenge had reached its end. There was no way he could resist this wave of invasion. Wu decisively gave up the assessment. My assets are not even enough for the Lord Entity to use as a toothpick. As his words fell, an unstoppable horror suction came from within the teleport gate, forcefully pulling the Skeleton Lord into the gate. But the Lord Entity does not want to exit like this. Finally had the chance to stretch and relax the muscles. She grabbed onto the portal next to her, as if she had gone mad. She stubbornly held on for about 5 seconds. During this time, the Skeleton Lord did not launch an attack. Instead, it roughly threw out a rib bone. That rib bone turned into a stream of light, and quickly flew towards Wu's realm. After breaking free from the gravitational pull, it directly destroyed a large piece of land. Wu was frightened and nervous watching this, because the energy of the Lord Entity is more than enough to easily kill any hero before everything is over. Wu's consciousness was immediately teleported back to the original world. Soon, a huge leaderboard appeared in front of him. It read, "Leaderboard, first place Wu." His class scored an impressive 252 points, ranking first among the 3 advanced classes. Letianlu's class, on the other hand, only managed to secure the 8th spot. Seeing the leaderboard, Letianlu gritted his teeth in frustration. If Wu and the other 2 didn't change classes, the title of the top class would stay in his class. Those students with poor grades could face expulsion from the school if they failed the elimination assessment, but it wouldn't affect the realm. The award ceremony will start soon. The school will reward based on the rankings, directly distributed into the hands of each student. And Wu's reward is exceptionally gorgeous. He received rewards for the top 50 places. He even received rewards for all 3 places at the same time. Even Shuangqin was moved by the 1 point of divinity. The following students were all shocked by the generous rewards from the class teacher. Wow! So many rewards. Is this guy going to make a fortune? Wu fell into contemplation. What kind of reward should these exchange cards be redeemed for? It needs some careful consideration. However, when Tian volunteered bravely, "I will help you choose the most suitable rewards," Wu nodded, praising teacher Wen Tian as indeed the most reliable. Later, he followed Wen Tian's advice. He exchanged the Realm Region card for a 20 square kilometer dense forest terrain. The Level 1 Holy Relic exchange card was exchanged for a Level 1 Holy Relic Toxic Mist Orb, which was directly used with the Realm Core upgrade card. Finally, he built a Level 1 Sanctuary. This is a set of high-quality exchange cards. Only the student who ranks first in the grade is worthy of owning it. Wu shone brightly in this centralized exam. Having difficulty in exchanging for the divine weapon, only able to exchange for 1 item. The iron-cutting sword wind requires 4 items to unleash its full power. Maybe it's better to find a hammer or something. So, he exchanged a war hammer worth 100,000 MP with Red Dwarf, made from the core of the Lord Entity, Infernal Hydra. However, when he saw the minimum requirements for usage, Wu felt immediately depressed. It seems he can't use it right away. He will have to wait for a flame hero to appear in Red Dwarf. An hour later, the homeroom teacher, Wen Tian, announced on the stage, "Now, let's welcome the top 3 students in our class to come up and receive the class rewards." Under the gaze of their classmates, Wu Shuangqin and a student named Sun Su walked up to the stage. Wen Tian said that Wu achieved the first place and received a good grade. The class reward is 100 class points and the opportunity to choose any item from the class's vault of high-level resources. He then opened the resource list. It includes Holy Relic, Giant's Fist, Fountain of Life, Core of Mystic Iron or Skill Frost Missile, Building Goblin Nest, and Otherworldly Life Liger. Wu even without much consideration chose the Fountain of Life. As long as he placed it in the realm, it could directly affect his core family dependents, the Locusts. Wen Tian looked at him admiringly. This child is remarkable. Instead of stubbornly pursuing strong combat power, he can recognize his own strengths and promote them. His future is limitless. After school, Wu was about to leave when 3 commanding voices were heard. "Congratulations, our parvenu. Wu, sell me that little bit of divinity you got in the centralized exam. I'll exchange it with you for 105 million MP. Let's make the trade now." This tone makes Wu very unhappy. He actually has an extra 5 million MP. Is this guy rich and dumb, or what? He asked coldly. "What's the reason?" Sun Su urged. "What reason do you need? As long as you agree. 150 million MP is yours. This MP. Enough to buy you the route of the Locust Life evolution. Change your own destiny." Wu was a bit tempted. But he thought there must be a catch. So he straightforwardly refused, saying, "I disagree." Sun Tzu was very frustrated. But he still pleaded with him. "Classmate Wu, my grandfather is about to be promoted to a genuine deity and really needs your divinity. Sell me this divinity, apart from MP. I will owe you a favor." "I see he is friendly. I'm thinking of 110 million MP. It is definitely a huge amount. I can definitely let the realm carry the number of locusts increase by tens of times. By then, this small amount of divinity has already been earned back." Thinking of this, Wu loosened his mouth. "In that case, then I'll." At the same time as he was speaking, his phone suddenly received a text message. That was a message sent by Shuang Qin. "The bit of divinity you gained in the centralized exam. I'll spend 150.5 million MP to buy it. Do you agree?" This is an Inferno hammer made by the core of Infernal Hydra. Now, Wu threw it directly in front of the Red Dwarf. He bestowed the Inferno hammer upon them. Just a while ago, classmate Sun Tzu wanted to exchange 1 billion and 10 million MP for the divinity Wu obtained in the centralized exam. Wu is a little tempted. Just as they were about to agree. But then, they saw a message from Shuang Qin. Wu was completely stunned. Shuang Qin bid 150 million. Exactly 40 million more than Sun Tzu MP. A little divinity equals 100 million MP, but their bids have clearly exceeded the original value. Wu couldn't help but ask, "Isn't a little divinity worth 100 million MP? If the faith energy condensed is not generated through one's own family dependence, but also mixed with the faith energy of other deities, then the success rate of divinity condensation will be greatly reduced. Therefore, the current market price for divinity is 1.5 billion shikuan. And it's valuable but not available." Wu immediately realized. So that's how it is. In other words, that Sun Tzu guy is trying to score a deal. Then he directly replied to Sun Tzu with a word, "Go away." Sun Tzu was almost furious upon hearing this. He immediately uttered harsh words. "Wu, don't think you can be arrogant just because you got first place in the centralized exam by cheating. You wait and see." Later, Wu sold a bit of divinity to Shuang Qin for 150 million MP, which was quickly deposited into his account. At this moment, he only wanted to roll in the sea of money. After school, Wu logged into his realm for the first time and planned to build a level 1 sanctuary near the camp of the Red Dwarf. After a period of recuperation, the number of red dwarfs has also slightly increased, but it is far less than the rapid proliferation speed of locusts. There are currently 59 people. Then Wu found a relatively barren land and placed the Fountain of Life in the center. Presumably, with the passage of time, this land will become fertile ground. Wu threw the Inferno hammer obtained by the exchange card to the Red Dwarf at the furnace. Those red dwarfs all knelt and worshipped. "Great deity, thank you for all that you have bestowed upon us." Finally, Wu selected one among them, the strongest youth, and named him Divine Hammer before handing over the otherworldly seed in his hand. "I hope you will become a hero soon." Raise the Inferno hammer as a gift from the deity. The red dwarfs are extremely grateful. All members become devout believers, and the red dwarfs, who receive the otherworldly seed, have even leaped to become fanatical believers. The rewards obtained from the centralized exam are almost gone, with only the level 1 holy relic Toxic Mist orb left. At that time, he followed the advice of the class teacher Wen Tian to choose this holy relic, but what is its use? Just as Wu was puzzled, when Tian's video application arrived. Wu asked, "Teacher Tian, what can I help you with so late?" Without beating around the bush, Wen Tian said, "During the centralized exam that day, I made a bet with Letian Lu on 5 points of divinity, and your excellent performance led me to win big. So, I thought about it, and realized that you also deserve a share of this bet. Therefore, I have prepared a reward for you. One of them is a divinity card. The other one is the demonic egg, a trophy I obtained while battling in the outer region. It is an egg laid by the infernal worm king personally, refined into a stillborn state using special secret techniques. Even in a stillborn state, it can generate 10 liters of demonic essence daily, assimilating into the lowest tier infernal worm. This is a treasure obtained by a demigod during battles in the outer region, the demonic egg. It is an egg personally laid by the infernal worm king. The stillborn was created using a special secret technique. When Wu entered the class, when Tian once said that he would help him complete the life evolution of his core family dependence. This is one of the paths he controls. Wu thought to himself that everyone looks down on him just because they think the family dependence of the locusts are too rubbish. If he could grasp a path of life evolution. The potential of locusts assimilated into infernal worm family dependence is not comparable to the innate elite stormfinch of Shuangqin, but it can reach the level of ordinary life forms, like goblins and dwarves. Just thought of it. Wu's gaze became fiery. Decisively chose the demonic egg between the two. When Tian is very satisfied. The compatibility between the infernal worm and toxic property is very high. You can load the level 1 Holy Relic Toxic Mist Orb onto the core. The result will definitely satisfy you. However, Wu has another question. Teacher, do you have a source for a large amount of meat? The quality of the meat doesn't matter much. The meat provided in the store is just too expensive. When Tian believes that the cost of purchasing meat in the store is too high. Recently, the principal is tackling an infernal depths dimension, where there will certainly be a large number of flesh golem corpses. I can inquire for you. Wu is even more convinced that switching shifts was the right choice. After expressing gratitude, he hung up the call. Currently, Wu's level 2 Holy Relic Gluttony code is generating high profits. The locusts in the realm are turning into gluttons one by one. They eat incredibly quickly. So based solely on the realm's output, it is impossible to satisfy the locusts' appetites. He was thinking about it while placing the demonic egg under the ancient tree. This way, the production of demonic essence will be faster. Then, letting the locusts consume it will lead to their evolution. Wu caught a locust and let it absorb the demonic essence, which instantly transformed into a cocoon. He then stood guard beside the demonic cocoon for 2 full days. It was only then that he noticed signs of the demonic cocoon finally breaking out of its shell, with more and more cracks appearing on the surface. Soon, an infernal worm enveloped in demonic energy appeared before his eyes. It was 10 centimeters long, with sharper teeth, bearing some resemblance to a locust. Although it is still an ordinary creature, its strength is 100 times greater than that of a locust. There is no breeding information, so each infernal worm must rely on demonic essence for assimilation. 1 drop of demonic essence can assimilate 1 locust. There are 20 drops of demonic essence in 1 milliliter, so in 10 liters, there are 200,000 drops of demonic essence. If successful, you can obtain 200,000 infernal worms daily. Moreover, the newly born infernal worms are also influenced by the Holy Relic Gluttony code. It won't be long before they can advance to the elite rank. Then, Wu inserted the level 1 Holy Relic Toxic Mist Orb into the realm core in the blink of an eye. Just born, the infernal worm unexpectedly underwent over 90% mutation, directly transforming into an elite toxic infernal worm, boosting its strength to another level. At the same time, in a certain dimension of the infernal depths, Principal Ping Yin is furrowing his brows. Despite being a genuine deity, he has encountered a dilemma. After fighting in the infernal depths for 4 years, the number of demonic creatures that died at his hands is countless. Even though Ping Yin has built dozens of incinerators, it is still like a drop in the bucket to clean up the bodies. These are a pile of flesh golem bodies that have accumulated over 4 years. Even if the bodies are sealed inside the card, when the MP on the card is depleted, these bodies will still burst out and continue to contaminate. Just when Principal Ping Yin felt extremely frustrated, a video call interrupted his thoughts. It was Teacher Wen Tian. What does he want from me? After the call was connected, Wen Tian awkwardly said, Principal, I apologize for calling you on video abruptly. I wanted to ask if you could provide a flesh golem body. A student of mine wants to purchase it. Ping was taken aback. What does your student need a flesh golem body for? Wen Tian replied frankly. He plans to use it to feed his core family dependents. His core family dependents are locusts. During the centralized exam elimination assessment, they have consumed flesh golem bodies without any negative reactions. Ping naturally understood a little. Isn't this student the little genius who had a battle with a demigod a few days ago? He didn't expect that such a small locust could have such a function. Unfortunately, the living conditions in the infernal depths are not suitable for the survival of locusts. Otherwise, you can introduce a batch of locusts to come and nibble on the flesh of the flesh golems. This way, we can save a lot of MP. Here are 1,000,000 flesh golem corpses. You can pass them to him first. However, the next day, when Tian came again, the student's flesh golem from yesterday had been completely consumed. He wanted to inquire if there could be a long-term supply. Ping was shocked. What? Eaten up in just one day, and still expecting a long-term supply? When Tian nodded. I also think this idea is a bit excessive. So, Ping was astonished, but very happy. Ahem. The corpse of the flesh golem can be managed well enough. But long-term supply cannot be given away for free. How about this? 1 MP can buy 100 flesh golems, with a minimum order of 10,000 MP. When Tian immediately relayed this to Principal Wu, who reported back 5 minutes later. Wu said he needed 1,000,000 MP first. With an ample food supply, Wu's core family dependents were able to expand massively in just a few days. The elites within the realm are already counted in billions. After the number reached the limit that the realm could bear, Wu launched a sacrifice, sacrificing a staggering 12 billion elites. Then, 3 equally valuable options appeared in front of him. Option 1, 5 giant warriors of the otherworldly life. Option 2, a level 3 skill crystal toxic blast that can be comprehended up to ultimate toxic blast. Option 3, breaking down matter. After seeing these 3 options, Wu's eyes lit up. The giant warriors of the renowned destructive power of the giant clan. Even if they are put up for sale, each of them is worth at least 10,000,000 MP. But the combination of level 3 toxic blast with infernal worm, plus the level 1 holy relic toxic mist orb, is simply unbeatable. However, currently my realm core is only loaded with gluttony code and toxic mist orb after reaching level 3. There is simply no empty slot available to load level 3 toxic blast. After some thought, Wu ultimately decides to choose the third option. The disassembly machine can break down matter and extract energy crystals, a valuable food source for magic-type family dependents. It's quite precious. I'll make money lying down. This is a disassembly machine that can break down matter and extract energy crystals. Wu tries to throw in 5 tons of iron ore for an experiment. The disassembly machine immediately started to run wildly. Soon, 5 hours later, 3 energy crystals the size of fists dropped in front. Wu is very satisfied with this. Iron crystal stones can be used as food for certain special races. It can also be used as forging material. Each one can be sold for 5 MP. Just at this moment, a voice of a red dwarf is heard in the realm. Great deity. We were attacked by the undead while mining. 3 companions were injured as a result. The chief of the Divine Hammer tribe is now fighting against the undead. I hope that the deity can bestow divine blessing. Save the red dwarf. Upon hearing this, Wu immediately separated his consciousness to investigate. Soon, he found the location of the red dwarf. The chieftain of the Divine Hammer tribe was wielding a weapon modeled after the Inferno Hammer called the Faith Weapon. He swung it vigorously. While his opponent was a tiny skeleton, nearly the same height as a dwarf, it bore some resemblance to the Lord entity that appeared in the 21st wave of the centralized exam. We noticed carefully that the tiny skeleton had astonishing combat power. When its small bone claws clashed with Faith's warhammer, it could easily leave claw marks on it. Its bone claws, however, did not suffer any damage. Wu excitedly used the deity authorization, wanting to check the detailed information of the tiny skeleton, but received a failure prompt. Query failed. Tiny skeleton is not your believer, and you do not have the means of investigation. Unable to view its information. In helplessness, Wu had to issue an oracle. Summon heroes Iron-Cutting Sword Wind to come in battle. Iron-Cutting Sword Wind is indeed born for battle. With a spinning slash from the Swordwind clan, Tiny Skeleton is shattered into pieces on the ground. But those shattered bones seem to be drawn by some unseen force, continuously trembling on the ground. Shortly after, they return to their original state. And there is not a single flaw in the bones. Wu did not exterminate, but took the opportunity to persuade. Submit to me, believe in me, and you will gain a new life. Unexpectedly, that tiny skeleton did not drink the toast, but instead drank the penalty wine. The divine incarnation of Wu is just a sweep of the bone claw. But Wu laughed loudly at its ignorance. Naive. The realm remains unbroken. My divine incarnation can last forever. Then commanded Iron-Cutting Sword Wind and the dwarf divine hammer to execute oracle. Keep smashing for me. Smash until it obeys me. 3 days later, the tiny skeleton was tortured by the Iron-Cutting Sword Wind until it lost its luster. It knelt before Wu and uttered a faint female voice. I am willing to submit to the deity. Wu touched the smooth skull of the tiny skeleton, and then checked its information panel in the system. Family Dependence Name. Skeleton Tribe Family Dependence Level Lord Entity Undead Weakness. Seal. Family Dependence Talent. Crystal Bone Revival, as a teacher for demigod, this time not even giving face. Using demonic wyvern of otherworldly life as the price. Bribe student Xiaolong Zhang. Let him deal with Wu in the assessment. Just a short while ago. After the selection in the centralized exam, almost all the students who were able to stay are elites. But there is still one more assessment to come. It is a crucial test that can truly widen the gap between them. It may even have an impact on which university they will be accepted to in the future. Wu immediately remembered his grandfather's last wish. The Imperial Capital Institute is one of the top universities that specialize in civilization of the divine realm. Inside, the disordered star ocean holds clues about his missing parents. When Tian looked around at the students sitting in the room. To be honest, everyone will be teleported to one of the dimensions in the infernal depths. The specific exam content will be sent to your email later. It's 1 hour before the start. The classroom was about to explode. Students were discussing the everlasting presence of demonic energy in infernal depths dimension. Typical family dependents are vulnerable to being eroded by demonic energy. Only demonic creatures and undead can survive normally. Additionally, necrotic disasters frequently occur there. However, Xiaolong Zhang is extremely excited because his core family dependents are demonic creatures, giving him an innate advantage. This evaluation seems tailor-made for him. At that moment, an unknown number called. Letian Lu's voice came over the line after Xiaolong Zhang answered. Xiaolong, I need you to take care of someone for me. Xiaolong Zhang immediately understood. Is it Wu? Letian Lu nodded. You are helping the teacher with a task. The teacher will never treat you unfairly. This is the assistance the teacher is giving you. Keep it for now. It will be helpful for your exam. Xiaolong Zhang opened the email and saw a card sealed with an otherworldly life demonic wyvern. It is a powerful race comparable to heroes. An hour passed quickly. Under Wen Tian's instructions, all students were teleported to one of the dimensions in the infernal depths, assigned randomly to different areas. Wu took 3 minutes to read through the exam content. There was only one task: to eradicate more than 90% of the skeletons at the skeleton barracks, destroy the skeleton tribe's flag. Following that, 4 options appeared in front of Wu. He had the opportunity to summon his family dependence manifestation once. If the family dependence manifestation died, he would descend in his true form. If his true form perished, he would truly die. Without hesitation, Wu directly chose to incarnate as the Skeleton Lord. In such an environment, It was the only way to avoid the intrusion of demonic energy in the infernal depths. The next second, wisps of demonic energy entwined around Wu's body. Then the flesh and blood on his body disappeared in an instant, leaving only white jade-like bones. Wu now looks like a tiny skeleton. The demonic energy wafting in the air has no adverse effects on him. Instead, it makes him feel very comfortable. Because the exam regulations stipulate that the daily summoning of family dependents is limited to 100 only. Therefore, Wu summoned 100 gluttony locusts to try it out. As he expected, in less than an hour, 94 out of the 100 gluttony locusts died. Among the remaining 6, 3 were barely alive. 3 of them were infected with demonic energy and mutated into demonic locusts. Creatures that undergo demonization often lose their rationality and become extremely violent. However, locusts themselves do not possess intelligence. Even after undergoing demonization, they still follow Wu's orders. After the 3 locusts completed their mutations, Wu arrived at a dark forest. The dark red fruits on the tree are the task at hand, the so-called necromancer's fruit. He immediately instructed 3 demonic locusts to pick the fruits. The actions of the demonic locusts are very fast. Having sharp saw-like teeth, they quickly devoured 100 necromancer's fruits. When Wu was about to submit the task, but he heard a series of eerie low roars, only to see a corpse crawling out of the ground. Their bodies are severely decayed, leaving only withered bones, with some rotten flesh still lingering on them. These corpses without wisdom immediately lashed out towards Wu. Wu happened to want to test the power of this family's dependent manifestation. 20 corpses quickly crawled out from the ground and were cleared by Wu. The calmness of the surroundings was restored once again. He glanced at the necromancer's fruit on the ground and thought that completing this task would only earn him around 20 points. But the advantage is its simplicity. For the 100-point task, should he defeat a demigod or focus on quantity to win? Just like that. By the end of the day, he had collected 800 necromancer's fruit and sealed them in 40 cards. Although each person can only complete the task once. But he came up with a brilliant solution. Posted information about exchanging task items in the class group. Class advisor Wen Tian did not intervene. Just reminded them to only use resources obtained from this dimension for trading. If violated 3 times, the qualification for the exam will be cancelled. The class group suddenly became lively. Those students also have extra resources on them. Resource integration also saved them a lot of time. I'll also join in. I'll contribute 50 MP. At this moment, on the other side, a man is sneering in the corner. I was just wondering how to find you. You actually dare to reveal your location. This time, let's see how you die. Xiaolongjong chose to transform into a demonic wyvern and summoned 100 infernal hounds to follow closely behind, advancing in the direction of Wu. The man ordered the locusts to harvest all 800 necromancer's fruits. Then in the class group, he and other classmates consolidated resources together. At first, his assessment points ranking soared all the way up. But soon, he fell to the 18th place. Wu is clear in his heart. His advantage cannot be maintained for too long. The main reason is that his family dependents are too weak. Moreover, the assessment limits the number of family dependents that can be summoned. He simply cannot do advanced tasks. Just as Wu is in distress, a troop of skeleton soldiers is approaching the necromancer's fruit tree. The necromancer's fruit is an important material for enhancing the strength of skeleton soldiers. They have come this time to pick the necromancer's fruit. But after coming here, found that the necromancer's fruit on the tree was already empty. The skeleton soldiers were furious at the sight. The soul fire in their eye sockets kept flickering. If they return empty-handed, they will definitely be heavily punished by Skeleton Knight Sama. At this moment, Wu, who has transformed into a lord entity, walked over. In his heart, he wondered, I don't know if my current form can subdue them. When the skeleton soldiers saw Wu in this form, they were stunned on the spot. Every bone in their bodies was shaking at that moment. Before long, all the skeleton soldiers were prostrating themselves on the ground. Kneeling down and paying respects to Wu with a grand gesture is the suppression of race level. It is all that comes from the soul. Wu is quite surprised. Oh my! No way, this actually works. For no reason. Surprisingly, there are more than a dozen skeleton soldiers true believer. He was actually worried about not having any family dependents, so he decided to just go along with the mistake and accept this group of soldiers. All of you get up. My family dependents. Take me to inspect your camp. They soon arrived at a valley. Inside, there were thousands of skeleton soldiers guarding this place. Among them, there is also a skeleton knight of otherworldly life. Even though Wu is so small in size. But the intimidation on a soul level is undeniable. Skeleton Knight still chose to submit. Without spending a single soldier. Just gained the faith of a skeleton soldier team. This was such a big win. The Skeleton Knight said respectfully, I was once a member of the First Legion. I got separated from the main force during a confrontation with the Flesh Golem. I had to stay here because I had to deal with the Flesh Golem's invasion every day. The skeleton soldiers under my command are decreasing day by day. Therefore, I sent the skeleton soldier to find the necromancer's fruit to enhance the strength of the skeleton soldier. Wu seemed pensive. Since that's the case, I need to make them stronger. On the second day, Wu's assessment score ranking dropped from 18 to 178 directly. Many classmates in the group chat are lamenting that Wu's era is over. However, Wu is disdainful and thinks it's time to make an effort. Shortly after, he brought out a large number of items and skeleton crystals from the realm. All were distributed to the skeleton soldiers. Receiving blessings from the deity, the skeleton knight was extremely grateful. A few minutes later, the skeleton soldiers who absorbed the skeleton crystal leaped and transformed into elite iron bone soldiers.